Welcome to the Inject Creativity Live Show. My name is Rob the Robot from the Adobe Education team. This is a free online show for primary, secondary and post-secondary educators interested in enhancing digital literacy, communication and creativity in the teaching and learning process. Here are your hosts, Dr. Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
Thanks, Rob. Welcome to Inject Creativity Live, a show based on creativity for all in education with a focus on Adobe tools and resources. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, Tim, and a special welcome to everyone who's joined us live and those watching on demand via the Adobe for Education YouTube channel or the Australasian Adobe for Education Facebook group for this, the 65th episode of Inject Creativity Live, being recorded in May 2022.
Can you believe we're up to 65 episodes?
Crazy, isn't it?
For those of you who are with us live, we do encourage you to say hi in the chat. We don't always share your comments, but we notice you're having little conversations in the back end, which is really lovely. And when we get a chance, we'll have a look at those comments and bring up some of the best of them onto the screen. So please do add those comments in.
And let's start this episode with an acknowledgement of country.
We respect and honour all Indigenous people from the lands we reach out to during this event. We acknowledge their stories, traditions and living cultures. We acknowledge them as the first educators and the first creatives, and we commit to building a brighter future together.
I'm coming to you from Wurundjeri land in the Kulin Nation, otherwise known as Melbourne, Victoria, Australia.
And I'm coming to you from the country of the Jagera, Yagara and Agurapul people from around the area, otherwise known as Brisbane, Queensland, Australia.
Our usual techie whiz, Jerry Wong, is busy travelling at the moment, so won't be able to join us. But I would like to welcome to the show Adobe Creative Educator Andy Hare from Victoria, who will be helping us with the slides and banners. Let's bring Andy up. Here he comes. G'day, Andy. How you going?
G'day, Tim. G'day, Erin. It's so good to be here. I'm on the tech side here, so fingers are all warmed up.
Thanks, Andy, for helping us out with the slides and banners. We will soon be hearing about a great set of exciting resources you were creating during the COVID lockdowns.
And those of you who watched the last episode, you'll be already very excited about what Andy did share with us and will be sharing with us. Also in this episode, we'll be promoting a number of Adobe education related resources and professional learning opportunities for you to take back to your schools, universities, and other places of learning.
This episode will also be hearing from Adobe Education Leader Steve O'Neill from Western Australia.
We do hope you enjoy this episode.
And if you do, please share it with your colleagues and wider education networks via the Adobe for Education YouTube channel.
You're watching Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
Now, we haven't got Steve O'Neill live, so we won't be interviewing him as we had planned because he is not very well. He's been struck down with COVID, but he was so organised, he actually did a pre-recording. So we're going to have a listen to the pre-recording a little bit later in the show. But right now, let's open up another quick demo with Adobe Creative Cloud Express. In the last episode, what I did was I had a look at the quick action of resizing an image. And I thought, let's just jump into all the other image related quick actions. If I click on the word image, and there's another way, of course, of getting into these quick actions, and that is to jump up to the plus symbol or the add button, which allows you to go into all the amazing things you can create with Adobe Express. But on the right-hand side of this window that comes up are all of the quick actions in one quick view. And the one we're going to quickly look at now is how to crop an image with Adobe Express. And what I love about this as I click on it is I don't have to jump into Photoshop to do that cropping. I can do it all within the Adobe Express environment, which is pretty cool. I'm going to find an image, the same image that I used in the last episode's demo, and it is the Inject Creativity Live Show logo. I'm going to drag that into this section where it says drag and drop an image. And look, Erin, I've got my cropping handles that allow me to literally go in and just crop out the parts that I don't necessarily want, and it gives it a different look and feel. Of course, I could go in and just crop to this wonderful image here. But no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm just going to crop it and just
also,
have a look.
yeah, it's worth mentioning that the crop image, as you can see, has the handles, whereas when we were demonstrating during the previous episode, Tim showed you how the resize image allows you to not just preserve the aspect ratio, but to also choose some pre-selected shapes, like something that's square, that's compatible with Instagram, and that sort of thing, whereas this one gives you a lot more manual control to really crop down that image and get it back onto your computer in its new format very easily.
And now if I just click the download button, I've got a cropped version of that. To prove that to you, I'll just jump back to my Finder and go to my download section. And this should be the new one. I'll just open it up in something like Apple Preview and bring it across to the shared screen. And there it is. That's the cropped version of that particular image. Really quick, really handy, and so nice that I don't necessarily have to open up a professional tool to do something so quick and simple, especially when I'm still wanting to keep creating in Adobe Express. Pretty amazing what's coming up in Adobe Express, Erin. You're happy with it?
I also noticed, Tim, that another little feature that we didn't mention during the last demo is that it actually preserves the file name when you re-download your edited image. So it's not just going to rename it to some random alphanumeric combination that makes it harder for you to find in your downloads folder later. It actually retains that file name a little bit for you to make it that much easier to find your altered images on your computer after quickly making modifications and downloading them back down.
Pretty cool. Now, I was in San Francisco last month and I caught up with some of the global team, and we were, yeah, that's right, the summit is exactly what we're about to talk about, but here's Clara to give us a promo of our summit.
Clara here from the Adobe Education team. I lead our global education community programs, and I'm excited to see you at the Apac Adobe Education Summit.
Thank you, Clara. And it was lovely to catch up with Clara and Ben and Tanya and Rebecca and all of the global education team. I'm not going to mention them all now, but we have got our summit coming up where the global team are going to be part of it too. So you're going to connect with them on Wednesday, the 28th of September, which is a school holiday period for most of you in Australia.
And Tim explains more in this clip.
Hi folks, the 2022 APAC Adobe Education Summit is being held on Wednesday, the 28th of September, which is a school holiday period for most of you. Dr. Tim Paxton, Australia's leading researcher and consultant in the field of creativity and innovation in education, will be our special guest, and you'll also be hearing from the global Adobe Education team, as well as Adobe Education leaders who will be sharing their classroom success stories, creative catalyst talks, as well as providing a range of practical workshops to help you make the most of your access to Adobe tools, especially the free Adobe Creative Cloud Express set of tools and resources. Register via adobe.ly/apac-edu-summit22 or scan this QR code. We are looking forward to sharing with you and your colleagues at the 2022 APAC Adobe Education Summit. Well, Andy's back with us. How are you, sir?
I am very relaxed, but very excited too, to Tim and Erin.
Now, in the last episode, Andy shared with us some of the resources he made during COVID lockdowns to help teach health and physical education. And I love the spin you've put on the students putting themselves into the story. So please tell us a bit more.
Well, we all know that education is about individual ownership. And so the books that I had written were all about trying to answer a problem for a particular child. So this one I loved. This one, believe it or not, this one was about a young child and myself, and we went to dance camp together. But it was, I knew I loved music, and the idea was that by bit, I was able to learn how to dance and meet up and socialize with different people. So, this is a great example here. I'm able to dance in my classroom. But as I said in the last one, I've left out the character because the character is you, the child, or the adult, if you like. But this character dances right across the countryside. They dance into physical education. They won a big contest in order to get over to dance camp in the great United States. And then they ended up meeting one of his best friends. And this story was kind of a take on a real life adventure with a colleague of mine. We met up in the States. We ended up dancing in a keynote in physical education. So that was a great example. The next one was more of an active energizer with cricket, being in a great Australian sport. But this one I managed to do a collaborative with Cricket Australia, and inside it, hopefully I pull up to the right page. Oops, I did not. But we've got QR codes in this one, which link to special activities that the students are able to do at home as well. So again, the character is the particular child that they want to portray. But I can't. I'm having no luck randomizing onto a QR code here, but they are there. And what the students were able to do was, as they follow along the story, they were able to scan the QR code, which gave them a consolidator in activity to be able to go out and play that game. And again, it started with my brothers and I playing backyard cricket. What a great adventure. And we hit the cricket balls over the neighbour's house. No one ever wanted to go get them because there was a big dog over there. So these were my answers during COVID to keep kids being physically active, but to connect them to valuable literacy and numeracy skills as well. Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop, I learnt so much. I loved it. And with Tim's help there since I think 2016, Tim, I've really, really been able to develop those skills and harness them in a way that benefits students.
Well, you certainly have. How many books have you got there in total there, Andy?
I'm up to 22 now. Picture story ones, but I've just released I've released 3 in the last year of curriculum books and hand-drawn illustrations, mind you, as well, which are my best stick figures ever.
Wow, that's great. And how do we get access to the books?
You can look them all up on mrhairphysed.com, and you'll be able to find the links to the books there and see all the wonderful ones that exist.
I've actually added that into the live stream chat for everyone to access. So it's at mrhairphysed.com/books.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Erin.
There we go. mrhair.com/books. That will get you into it. And of course, the Twitter channel that Andy had up a second ago is also another way of connecting with him. Andy, can you find the AFL book? Have you still got that there handy to show everyone?
Do. The Geelong Football Club. That's all you want. Geelong Football Club, Tim.
So glad you mentioned that because I'm a St Kilda supporter and I'm very happy for you to talk about Geelong after what happened last weekend. But hey,
I'm a Queensland girl. I'm in our RL country, so don't judge me too harshly.
And of course, if Jerry was here, he'd have no idea what we were talking about at all. But Andy, thank you so much for sharing that. And it's great to see the creative use of the tools in so many different directions. Well done.
Thank you. I'll get back to the techie side now.
You're doing well.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Inject Creativity Live with Tim Kitchen and Erin Raethke.
The Regeneration International Short Film Competition is now happening in August, which gives you and your students more time to get involved.
Tim and Rob put together this clip to share more.
If I can find the clip. Where is the clip? There we go. Regeneration. Oh, I've found it now. Hi folks, I'm Tim from Adobe.
And I'm Rob the Robot.
Get your cameras, microphones, tripods
and Adobe apps ready for the
Regeneration International Short Film Competition with Adobe. This competition is part of the 2022 Regeneration Youth Festival, which is focused on building a resilient and empowered future.
Tim, What do the students need to do to enter this competition?
Good question, Rob. The students need to organise a small group of preferably 3 to 5 and plan, film and edit a short film that goes for between 1 and 2 minutes based on the theme of building resilience and empowerment for creating the world we all wish to live in, with a focus on sustainability and a reference to at least one of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals.
Can it be an animation?
Sure can, Rob.
What about a mix of real life like me and animation like you?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what do you mean like an animation like me? I mean, you're the animation in our relationship. So far, we have about 40 schools registered and over 1,700 students potentially involved.
So remember, this competition is open to any student from years 5 to 12 throughout Australia, New Zealand and into Southeast Asia. So register your school and please get involved.
Hi, I'm Tasty Trowbridge, Head of Adobe's Thought Leadership and Advocacy. Thanks for watching Inject Creativity Live. And if you're excited about creativity, take a listen to the Creative Educator Podcast.
As we said earlier, Steve O'Neill's not able to join us live, but he did a pre-recording, so we're going to jump into that now. This is especially for those of you who are interested in Adobe Dreamweaver, which is an app I don't think we've actually done a demo of for a long time, I think many years, but it's one of those wonderful apps, especially if you want to know more about website development.
One of my daily drivers, developing learning management system content for sure.
Well, let's hear from Steve. I'll just quickly share my screen here and we'll get rid of us and go straight to Steve. Let's find out.
It's great to be part of Inject Creativity once again. And I've been a high school teacher for quite some time. But before I was a high school teacher, I was a website developer, among other things. And I mean, when I first started creating websites, the web itself was quite new. And it has changed a lot in that time. And as you can see from some of these little examples, the way the Adobe website has changed over the years. One of the biggest changes that's happened in the World Wide Web is the way people use it. I mean, gone are the days where people will just sit on their desktop computers and use a regular desktop computer to browse the web. In fact, these days, more than half of the people browsing the web are using mobile devices instead. Now, I'm just going to hop on over into Dreamweaver so I can demonstrate the things which I'm talking about here. So here I am in Dreamweaver, and I'm going to create a new page. I'm going to give it a title, call it Steve's blog. And I'm just going to quickly make up a simple little website that demonstrates a few of the things which I'm talking about. So I've got a blank page here, and I'm going to start by going up to my insert menu. I'm going to add a header here, and I'll put my text in the header. And that text there, I'm going to mark that as a level 1 heading. So that's my way of saying that's an important heading in the document. And now I'm going to go and I'll insert and I'll add a navigation section. And I'm just going to add that so it's before the end of my document. And I'll put a few basic navigation links in there. And I'll put each of those on a different line. And I'll make those into a bulleted list, or what's known in website design as an unordered list, because, well, can't call it the obvious thing, can we? And I'm also going to add an article section. So I'll drop in an article there. And I'll put in a bit of a section heading. And I'll put in a couple of subheadings as well. And I'm going to make those into headings as well. So my section heading, I'll make that into a level 2 heading. And I'll make these subheadings into level 3 headings. Lastly, I'm going to add a bit of a footer section down the bottom of the page. So I'll add in my footer there. And in my footer, I'm just going to get rid of my placeholder text there, and I'm going to insert a little copyright symbol. So I'll go and add in my special characters, my copyright symbol. So there's my basic page setup done. Now, setting up my page the way I've done there by using headers and navigation and those different sections and headings and so on is better for accessibility. So if someone is visiting your website who might be visually impaired, and if they're using a browser which is text to speech, then their browser can present the page to them, making use of those section headings, so it can recognize which parts of the page are navigation, which parts are headings, and which parts are footers, and it can make use of those to present the page in a logical way. And it's also very good for web searches. So if your page is coming up in Google search results, it can recognize which parts of the page are headings, which parts of the page are content, and index those accordingly. Now I'm going to be like one of those cooking shows, and I'm going to say, well, here's one I did earlier, because you probably don't want to sit there and see me typing for 10 minutes. So here I've got one where I've already added in some content, but I've got this page structure here. It's all nice and logically structured. Doesn't really look too great though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some CSS, which is short for cascading style sheets. I'm going to add a CSS file, and this CSS file, well, the purpose of CSS is basically to keep the presentation of your site separate from the structure. So I've got my HTML to define how my page is set up, and CSS is where I'll put in all the fancy bits. So for example, I might add a rule in my CSS which says I'm going to give my page a grey background, like so. If I go and have a look at my live view, be able to see the effect of that. And I'm going to add another rule saying the body section of my page, the main content section, I'm going to say I want my body section to be 80% of the page width. And on a very large screen, I want it to be no more than 1,000 pixels. And I want the background section of that to be white. So now I can see on my screen here how I've got this body section which is only taking up 80% of the width. And I'm also going to put in little rules saying I want it to have no margin in the top and bottom, but I want the margin on the left and right to be nice and evenly distributed. So that makes my page nicely centered. So if I had a lot of pages on my website, they could all be using this same CSS file. So I'm not having to do this for every page. Every page just uses the same rules. And I can set up rules for individual parts of my page as well. So if I want all of my headings to look a certain way, I can go my H1 and I can set up a rule saying that all of the heading ones on my page, I want them to use a certain type of font style or font family. So let's see, I'll go with that particular type of font, and I want them all to be centered, and I can set certain colors and so on. So again, for every single page of my entire site, wherever there's a level 1 heading, it's going to pick up those rules there. Now, once again, I'm going to be like one of those cooking shows and say, well, here's what we did earlier. And so now I've got a page which is the same as the one we were just having a look at, but this one has a lot of style rules in there. So I've got my navigation that's formatted. I've got formatting for my level 2 headings and my header up the top and my footer down the bottom. Now, I mentioned earlier the importance of making our pages responsive. Now, at the moment, this website might look fine on a large screen, and if someone looks at it on a smaller screen, like a mobile phone, then things are pretty small. Imagine that on a mobile phone screen. That's going to be very small text, hard to read. Also, my navigation, it's one thing to click on it with a mouse, but if you're trying to get big or pudgy fingers and click on those links or any links that were in that page, it's very hard to do. So I can create a couple of new rules that change the rules for different screen sizes. So at the moment, I've got my general rules for how everything is going to look. But I can see up here it's saying, hey, click this little plus icon or this little arrow to add a media query. And so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to add a media query that says, here's how things are going to look if the screen is smaller than 450 pixels wide. So now I've got this new set of rules, and currently I'm saying my page is only going to take up 80% of the page width. But on smaller screens, I probably don't really want that. I want it to take up the whole page width. So I'm going to create a rule there saying that it's going to be 100% of the page width. I could also create a rule that changes how this text looks. So for example, my text for level 1 heading up here, I could add a rule saying that I want that to be a lot bigger when it's in a smaller screen size. So I'm going to give that a larger size. So at the moment, it's showing the normal dimensions and the normal font size. So if I resize my screen a little bit now, this little marker shows me the width limit there. So once I get below that, now the width jumps out to 100% width, and my text size also increases. And I could then go and add similar elements or similar rules for all of the other parts of the site, so that when someone's viewing it on a smaller screen, then the text can be larger and things can rearrange. I can even have my navigation rearranged so those buttons are underneath each other rather than side by side to make it fit a little bit better on a smaller screen size. So that's a bit of an example of what you can do with making your website more responsive and more accessible. And this has been a little quick, brief little 10-minute run through of what you can do. If you want to actually learn how to do it for yourself though, then you can go to my website, Steve's PC Tutorials. If you Google PC Tutorials, it's usually the first thing that comes up, but the address o'neill.com.au/PC. And from there you can go Adobe, and there you can find my tutorials for Dreamweaver, which will take you through all the things I've covered and a whole lot more than that. So hopefully that's given you a quick bit of an overview of what you can do with Dreamweaver without having to know a lot of in-depth HTML or any other types of code.
And we want to thank Steve O'Neill for pre-recording that, because he's not feeling very well at the moment with COVID, and we do hope that he's feeling better very, very soon and to join us again in the near future. So thank you on behalf of everyone. I've forgotten, Erin, just how cool Dreamweaver was. I haven't used it for so long. I used to teach it nearly every day. That was a long time ago.
And it's the thing, it's really, really great. One thing I love about Dreamweaver is it doesn't just enable you to code for accessibility. They've also introduced in the last few years a lot of features that actually change the way Dreamweaver visualizes for you as you code. So you can have the code view, you can have a live view. It has dark mode, light mode, and they are introducing little bits and pieces in there that make it, from a learning and usability perspective, really quite fantastic to customize to suit your own preferences as you work.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, let's hear from Tanya Abrith, all the way from North America.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Abrith from the Global Education team here at Adobe for Education. I'm so excited that you are watching Inject Creativity Live. Please check us out with the Adobe Creative Educator program and be on the lookout for all the amazing challenges that we have every month. See you soon.
Well, a new set of Adobe Teach Meets is happening on May 25 and 26.
And here's a quick Teach Meets promo from Tim.
Hi folks, we have another set of amazing Adobe Teach Meets coming up soon. Each session offers at least 5 workshop opportunities with either Adobe's low-lift tools like CC Express or the more professional tools for experienced users. The workshops are run by Adobe experts and classroom teachers who know what works in any curriculum area to engage students in the classroom. Look up adobe.ly/teachmeets and register your interest. And please do share this link with your colleagues and wider education networks.
Hi, we're back Rebecca Hare here from the ACE course on the Education Exchange. Thank you for watching Inject Creativity Live. If you haven't taken the ACE course yet, definitely go to the Education Exchange and sign up, and I'll see you there.
If you're on Facebook and you're not already a member of the Australasian Adobe Education Community Facebook group, please join via facebook.com/groups/AUSAEL.
Join us and keep regularly involved with Adobe in education and the wider community.
Let's bring Andy back up onto the stage. Here we go. Thanks again, Andy, for being part of us.
Thank you. Adobe Education Leader Juliet Bentley from Brisbane will be joining us for episodes 66 and 67.
And young filmmaker Blake Wilton will be joining us for episode 67 as well, to share how learning Adobe tools in high school, a bit like Scott Miller too, has really helped him to stimulate and start his amazing career.
So many good news stories. So for those watching us live, get ready to move to adobe.ly/edu-meet-APAC for our brief fireside chat.
Special thank you to Andy and to Erin for helping to put this show together.
And a special thank you to Steve O'Neill for his contribution to this episode.
And just before we have Rob signing us off, Andy, any last minute comments from you?
It's an absolute pleasure being here with yourself and Erin, Tim. Amazing to see how much knowledge you have in all of this, and to our special guests as well. Wow, head blown.
Good on you, Andy. We really appreciate the work that you put into this. So saying goodbye now, and we'll see you hopefully at our next live recording. All the very best, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching this episode of Inject Creativity Live. For those who are watching live, join us now via adobe.ly/edu-meet-APAC for an informal, non-recorded fireside chat to meet and interact with our presenters and other audience members. During this informal chat, you will be able to complete the feedback form and apply for a professional development certificate. If you are not watching this live, join us live next time. Use this QR code or link to find out about dates and topics. And use this QR code and link to find out about other Adobe in Education professional learning opportunities. On behalf of the Adobe in Education team, keep being creative.